Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on, guys? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. Today we're looking at Whirlwind on Season 20 and this is absolutely crazy juiced. Now initially I didn't think that Whirlwind would be getting much out of the season theme, but turns out that it does. So in the background I'm clearing GR100 with under 750 Paragon. My gear is not very good, main stat is about 8k. Really easy, 6.5 minute clear, and it's the first try. So this build is extremely powerful. It was already powerful before the season theme, but we're going to open up the cube, stuff some rings in there, and we're going to make this incredibly easy to go past 100. Really difficult to say where the ceiling for this is, but this is definitely one of the most powerful builds this season. Now, I would like to give some credit to a smaller content creator called Jimster. He plays a lot of Barb. I'm going to link his video and channel, which is kind of where I've got the idea from. I've changed a couple of skills because you know me guys, I'm not much of a meta head. If I can make it easier to play, I will do so. So this probably doesn't go quite as high as maybe a meta push build, but it's certainly a lot easier to play. I'll go through the mechanics when I walk you through a little bit of a rift. But yeah, Jim does some Barb content, doesn't commentate on his videos I don't think, but if you play Barb or are interested in Barb, his material is generally pretty good. He does PTR, he does the seasons, so I'll link his stuff in the description, do go check him out. But other than that guys, if you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to play every class this season, so there will be tons more seasonal build videos, so if you are interested in any class in this game, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and as always guys, a thumbs up is greatly appreciated. So we've covered Whirlwind on the channel before, but just to run through it really quickly for anybody who is unfamiliar, the two-piece of the Whirlwind set gives us 500% per second damage on Rend and increases its duration up to 15 seconds. That's really handy because the main weapon that we're going to take is an Ambo's Pride. This will apply Rend when we hit with Whirlwind, and it also condenses Rend's damage over to 1 second, so any kind of damage increase is just massive extra damage because of the Ambos. Now the 4-piece, whilst we Whirlwind, we gain 50% damage reduction and our Rends apply triple damage, so really nice damage reduction and extra damage on Rend. Then the 6-piece Whirlwind gains the effect of Dust Devil runes, not bothered about that, but Rend gets its damage increased by 10,000%, so 2, 4 and 6-piece are all giving us damage on Rend, which is pretty nice. Now Ambos, obviously as we say, that applies to Whirlwind, applies to Rend with Whirlwind and condenses the damage. The other weapon we're going to take is an Echoing Fury. What this does is when we kill, we basically get a stack. You can have up to 5 stacks of Echoing Fury. It'll give you 5% attack speed, so that caps out at 25%. Sorry, 5% move speed capping out at 25% and 15% attack speed capping out at 75%. So your attack speed and move speed get really juiced by this. It is very nice. Now on the secondary, it's got a really annoying roll, which is Chance to Fear. So that drops between 10 and 20%. You want that to be as low as possible for this build. Some builds will use a high fear on chance to proc something like the Larceny Ring, but for this build we're not using any kind of effect like that, so getting it close to 10 would be handy because enemies will basically run away from you if you hit them with it and the fear procs. If you get a mob with a fast affix, that's really irritating. It's about the only thing I don't like about the build, but it's such a good item. The attack speed is huge. And the reason the attack speed is huge is because we're going to take Zodiac. Now when we hit with Whirlwind with Zodiac, we get 1 second reduction on a skill cooldown at random. This gives us incredible uptime on Wrath of the Berserker. Not 100% uptime at the moment the way I've got my build, so I could do with some more cooldown, which we will talk about. I'm at 47, so a little bit more cooldown. I could maybe get that up to 100%, but again, I've tried to make this build as casual friendly as possible, so we don't need 100% uptime. We'll talk about that when we get to the skills, but the idea is the Echoing Fury gives us huge attack speed. The attack speed allows us to get more hits in, which means we benefit more from the Zodiac. Now also in the cube we're going to take Band of Might. This is great because it gives us 80% damage reduction. This means that we pretty much have incredible toughness. We just have to cast Furious Charge, Ground Stomp or Leap. We're going to go for Furious Charge. We also take Convention, so that's a pretty big multiplicative damage. Rend is a physical skill, so it's physical damage that we're juicing up. Now, all those items that we've talked about are pretty much can be found in a lot of classic Whirlwind builds. I probably shouldn't leave out the belt either. Lamentation, Rend now stacks twice and gets another damage increase. So far everything is pretty similar to Whirlwind. So the change comes because we're actually going to take the Bastions of Will, so focus and restraint. Now what this does is when we hit with a resource generator, we get 50% damage increase for 5 seconds, and when we hit with a resource spending attack, we get another 50% damage for 5 seconds. The two things stack, so it's over a double damage modifier. Now Whirlwind is obviously a spender, so that counts absolutely fine, and we generate Fury for the purposes of Bastion's Will with Furious Charge. So we can charge into an enemy, generate some Fury, that gives us 50% damage, hit with Whirlwind we get another 50% damage. So really nice, it gives us an absolutely incredible damage boost on what was already a pretty strong starting set. Now other gear pieces, Mortix Brace is pretty essential. This gives us every rune on Wrath of the Berserker, really handy, you just want to get physical damage on here. A Flavour of Time will give us double pylon duration, again absolutely amazing. And then legendary gem wise, Stricken, as you can see here, my Stricken is 25, clearing 100 with a 25 Stricken is absolutely bonkers, but yeah, pretty easy. Bane of the Trapped, we're just going to get a flat damage increase to everything other than Juggernaut. Obviously Whirlwind's close range, so the primary procs the secondary, so again rank 95, fairly high but not the highest thing in the world. And then Taeguk, whilst we channel we get extra damage and extra armor, so again buffs up damage, buffs up toughness, so that's all kind of how things synergize. For gems we're going to go for all res in the chest and in the pants, just to buff up our toughness. The all res is really handy and that pairs quite well with Warcry Impunity. This gives us basically extra all res, so when we pop this we get more resistances based on our gems as well. And then in the helm we've gone for cooldown gem because we're looking to try and get around about 50%, you know, maybe a little bit higher, very difficult obviously to get it too high past that, but it would be handy just for more uptime. So that I think covers pretty much all the skills, or sorry, all the gear, so we'll move on to do the skills now. Now Whirlwind, you're going to have to take Wind Shear, you've got only really Furious Charge and Warcry Impunity to generate Fury, so you need Wind Shear to basically keep your Fury high. Provided you've got enemies to hit, this will be full at all times. Because the Zodiac goes off so much, you'll find that if you do need to pop Warcry, because it's on a very short cooldown, it's 20 seconds, you're getting around 50% CDR, so every 10 seconds it's back anyway. You don't need many Zodiac procs to get this back. You don't want to activate this really, unless you absolutely have to, but it can give you just that little bit of Fury just to get you going. Same for Furious Charge, you can charge into stuff, you get charge every 10 seconds, so again with the Zodiac this comes back very quickly. And then the way the skill that we've picked, Merciless Assault, the rune on it, what this does is it means that you reduce the recharge time depending on how many enemies you hit. So again, this just keeps Zodiac procs funneling into Wrath of the Berserker, which is going to be our main kind of damage boost skill. This gives us extra crit chance, extra attack speed, extra dodge chance, extra move speed, and 50% extra damage. So you want to kind of keep this up as much as you can. That's going to be dependent on density and Zodiac and whether your procs are going into any other skills. So the idea is really you want to be using Furious Charge every 5 seconds to proc the Bastions of Will. That will also keep your Band of Might up, so your 80% damage reduction. But after that you don't really want to be using this, you don't want to be spamming it all the time. You want Zodiac procs going into Wrath of the Berserker. Now on the bar I've also got Rend Bloodbath. This is pretty big damage buff. What it does is it applies Rend kind of like outwards in an area of effect after you get a kill with it. So I tend to leave this on. I just find that the Rend and the Whirlwind hit a lot harder when this is on the bar. You can take it off, I have seen a few people remove it and replace it with one of the Battle Rage skills to get some extra damage, crit chance or life on hit. But what I'm finding is that because with Mortix Brace we've got every rune on Wrath of the Berserker, we do get life per fury spent. You could also take that on the belt, that would be a handy roll to get. That again would also help with sustain, but I'm personally leaving Rend Bloodbath on the bar. Now the final skill is Ignore Pain, Ironhide. This increases the duration to 7 seconds. It's a 50% damage reduction and complete crowd control immunity. What this is like a mini Wrath of the Berserker. Because of the Mortix Brace and having every rune on Wrath of the Berserker, we do get 50% damage reduction, and obviously you are immune to CC whilst you're in your Angry Santa mode. So when you pop it, you turn into Angry Santa. you can't be frozen, stunned, all that kind of stuff. So what I tend to do is I will use Wrath of the Berserker. I will only use Ignore Pain if my Wrath of the Berserker looks like it's dropping off. So if it drops off and I think I need that extra 50% damage reduction, or I need the CC immunity, I'll pop Ignore Pain, and that will generally allow me to get back into Wrath of the Berserker after Ignore Pain is finished. So it's kind of like a little buffer skill. Now obviously, the way the rifts work, if you take pylons, because you've got your Flavour of Time, there are 2 pylons. That means that you can have Ignore Pain and Wrath of the Berserker permanently up. So they will be a channeling pylon for cooldown, that obviously will help you out tremendously, but also a speed pylon, because that will reduce your attack speed so high, you'll hit so many times with Zodiac that you can then afford to have Ignore Pain and also Wrath of the Berserker up as well. So it's kind of like a nice synergy. So basically what this build stops you from doing is dying. It's a really tough and tanky way to play it, very relaxing. You can, the 100, not stressed at any point. You'll be able to push well past this with more main stat, better gear. So if we just look at the gear pieces, non-ancient gloves, non-ancient shoulders, non-ancient helm, non-ancient amulet, it's always really hard to get that ancient. Bastions of Will are not ancient, my ambos is not ancient, my boots are not ancient. So the only arguably good pieces I have are the Echoing Fury, the pants are quite good, chest piece, so you probably want Rend damage on it. I probably should re-roll this, but again, early on in your journey when you don't have the toughness, the extra kind of all res and vitality rolls are handy. And again, shoulders, probably want cooldown and Rend damage on here. So again, these shoulders are not very good. So all in all, the gear is not particularly very good, so it does show just how powerful this build is. So I think that pretty much covers everything, guys. So I'll just jump into a 95, explain the rotation in a couple of minutes, and then I'll leave you with my 100 clear that I taped yesterday. So jumping into the Rift, you need to first make sure that we're going to Furious Charge, Whirlwind, Wrath of the Berserker. Now obviously you can see the Fury goes up, so now we're at full. I think I've forgotten to go over the passives, haven't I? I'll do that in a sec. But now the Fury's full, we've got no real problems. We just need to make sure every 5 seconds that this band of Bastions of Will focus is actually procced. The obviously one half of Whirlwind is always up, and then Wrath of the Berserker. When we're hitting with Whirlwind, this is bringing the cooldown on Wrath of the Berserker back pretty quickly. And let's say it's going to run out. I mean, obviously, maybe I should have filmed at 100 because this might just be too easy and you might not need it. But there, so as you see, with decent density, Wrath of the Berserker is perma uptime. But just in case you end up where you end up not getting it back, then you've got your Ignore Pain, Ironhide, just in case you need it. So obviously you need to Furious Charge, otherwise that 80% damage reduction really does hurt. But these are the Echoing Fury stacks up to 5, and then we've got Rampage, which is giving us 25% strength. And it's literally just this easy, guys. You just kind of whiz around the Rift, very easy to play. If you look like you're in trouble, let's say you want to stand in all this electric stuff, well, you can just pop Ignore Pain, and then that would be good. Now, Flavour of Time is amazing because you've now got 1 whole minute of complete damage immunity, so therefore you wouldn't need to activate Ironhide. So you basically just Wrath of the Berserker again, pretty much probably perma uptime, and then every couple of minutes you just need to refresh your Warcry. Again, you wouldn't need to do that with a shield pylon, but just for purposes of example. But yeah, that's it. It is pretty easy. So if we go back to town, I'll jump out of this and then show you the passives and then leave you with the 100 clear. So looking at the passives, guys, Rampage gives us extra strength, stacking up to 25 times. Not great for the Rift Guardian. If it doesn't have any ads, it will drop, but during the course of the Rift it is very useful. Nerves of Steel, again, mainly for the RG, to be honest. Most of the elites you'll be able to get through without any problems. Just obviously, you can't stand in explosions and arcane lasers. But this is very handy for the RG because you do get some that have got really nasty hard hitting abilities. So you will proc this occasionally on the RG, just depends which one you get. Ruthless, 40% extra damage against low health enemies. Again, brilliant for the Rift Guardian, just that extra damage boost when you start chunking down to like a third health. And then Berserker Rage, as you just saw in the Rift and with the clear that I'll show at the end of the video, Fury is pretty much full the whole way, so 25% extra damage just seems to make a lot of sense. Potion wise, I tend to take the all res potion just to again buff up the all res, synergizes well with Warcry Impunity, and plus I tend to find it is like the kind of arcane, that kind of stuff generally, Rift Guardians with nasty elemental damage, that's what tends to hit hardest. So I take this one, but you know, at the end of the day, up to you. So that's it guys, so I will show the rest of the 100 clear now. Pretty easy stuff, super friendly for the casual. Very excited to see where this would be with, you know, maybe 16k main stat on it, something like that. Very interesting. Again, sheet damage 700k, really like to get that up over 1 million. Could be quite interesting, could be tasty. I do obviously want to get the Savage set done this season, so again that's something else that we'll be doing. So as I say, subscribe if you want some more videos. I'll be making plenty more season 20 stuff. Have a great rest of your day, take it easy, peace.
So many things that I left